On this episode, I talk to a guy that simply loves people and having a good time. His name is Jarrod, and he loves you too, maybe. For 27 years, we've been friends, and I can easily say no one knows more about the evolution of me than him. And what did he do with all this knowledge? He supported, stayed loyal even when I wasn't, and showed me what it truly means to be an empath. Now, where I know this episode is a little bit more personal for me, and most of you might not get all of our insights, I hope that you see how valuable it is to have long-term friends through ups, downs, disagreements, and partying hard. We also talk about how not everybody likes Matthew McConaughey and Will Ferrell. Let's jump in. Hey everybody, welcome to a moderately good podcast. I am, by this point, if you're just getting on board, it's the 4th of July. We're going to have some fireworks tonight. My guest with fireworks would be a good way to kind of describe him. But before we get started, I'm going to give my usual shout out. So we go, above average Joe, all my pictures and shit. And and video, and he's in studio. Say what's up, Joe.
What's up, Joe?
What's up, Joe? So Joe's in my studio. So I'm sure he's gonna just take like his regular old iPhone that everybody has, and then he's gonna post pictures that don't look like yours, and then he's gonna go like, "Hey, do you want these filters?" And you're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "They're $15 or something like that." I don't know. It's some sort of scam, but you should pay him the $15 because he has really cool filters. It makes me look cool. So. We have my guy Jarrod that does no names originals, which is all the custom bleaching and artwork and stuff like that. So if you're into art or cool stuff, or just want to support, somebody kind of doing a side thing that's like really cool, you could go there on Instagram. My guy Mo, he does a Go Bubble app. It is Uber car wash to you. One of our newer shout out sponsors is The Body Rebuilder. Is that correct, Joe? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, The Body Rebuilder.
The Body Rebuilder. And just doing really cool stuff as far as like trying to just get you to be mobile and to move around like a regular human. And get your muscle workouts too. So like, they work with a lot of bodybuilders, but they also work with a lot of just regular people too, just trying to get a little bit more mobility and stuff like that. And it's a good way to balance out the physical part of your life. So check that out. And last but not least, our newest sponsor, and this is the coolest one. And he just happens to be in studio again. My guy Joe he's got this Instagram. It's Whiskey Vibes Only. So Joe, I wanted you to tell us what is Whiskey Vibes Only? What can we expect when we go to Instagram for Whiskey Vibes Only? What is the mantra of Whiskey Vibes Only? Like what are you doing over there?
Yeah, man. So I've been doing photography for some time now, and kind of got into some of the portrait photography stuff, and I had looked around my house and kind of just tried to figure out what I had a lot of that I could practice with, and happened to have a lot of bottles of whiskey because that's another one of my hobbies, passions, kind of things that I collect. And so I decided to start take photos of these bottles, and I started posting, and I realized there's this whole community of whiskey people on Instagram, and I've kind of joined that community, and I've made some pretty cool friends and all over the country and all over the world, people in Ireland and Germany, and people are following my page now, and the page is Whiskey Vibes Only. And it's a lot of just kind of the way I like to do my page is I just do creative ways of showcasing different kinds of whiskeys, and certain companies have reached out and I've worked with them, and I'm kind of building relationships with that as well. And so that's kind of basically what it is. I guess the term Whiskey Vibes Only is a play on the good vibes only. I've been a fan of that. I try to live by that for a long time, where I just try to just keep all the bad out and try not to focus on it, and try to put out all those good vibes. And to me, there's nothing better than a glass of whiskey with a friend and, sitting around a campfire or something like that, or even in a podcast studio like we're doing right now. And so, that whiskey vibes only kind of became a mantra, and it kind of seemed to fit my personality. So it's kind of just seemed what I did.
And also, um, Joe helps me learn about whiskey. I don't know anything about whiskey, and so he's trying to make a whiskey for the common man that doesn't. I mean, maybe I'm the only maybe I'm the only dude that doesn't know about whiskey, but I feel like that, like, every time Joe brings whiskey over, we talk about stuff like that, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a cool thing to get into, and it's the community at large is all about responsible consumption, and there, because there's obviously people that have issues with alcohol, but there's a lot of people that I know that there's a very beautiful side to the spirit as well.
Moderation.
So yeah, exactly, right. Like, and that ties into everything we talk about here, is just enjoying it to the extent that you can enjoy it without it becoming an issue, and knowing your limits and setting those. And like I said, I'm not an expert really in whiskey. I do enjoy it very much, and I know a little bit about it. But there are people that I've met on Instagram and in the community that are just like by far way ahead of me as far as that. So I am kind of like the more common man, more hippie vibe, if you will.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
so, honestly, like anytime I've talked to you about whiskey before, and I mean, I know I have a limited knowledge of whiskey, but you always make me feel comfortable. I never feel uncomfortable when I'm talking to you about things or asking you questions and saying, "Hey, Joe, what about this one? I like sweeter whiskeys. What do you think about this?" And you'll educate me in a way that's comfortable. You don't make me feel stupid. Thank God.
Right. And it comes with a responsibility, I think, to a certain extent of not throwing somebody into the deep end with these really high proof whiskeys. You want, like, I have got a top 5 that I usually will give a list of people if they want to get into the bourbon thing. That's not like, it's a step above Jim Beam, but not so abstract or absurd that you're just going to be like, I can't understand what this is, and it takes time to build up a palate and an understanding and kind of like a tolerance to being able to handle the higher proof stuff without it just hurting, because it can be painful if you go like 136 proof right away, So, I do have a few that I recommend to people that, if they're just trying to get into the scene. But
you did remind me of that. Like, I feel like I've had a couple of times where I had whiskey. It must have been like too high proof for me. And then I was like,
fire.
I was like, my nostrils.
Yeah, the ethanol hits you first, and you're not letting it. Yeah, it takes some getting used to.
I'll stick to pina coladas.
For real.
You like your Lone Stars, man, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. You like what you like.
I don't know anything.
You like what you like.
Fancy. So mystery guest. How old were you when I met you? How old were you?
I was 15 years old when I met you.
Okay.
In Goliad, Texas, in the parking lot of my high school, picking up your girlfriend. That's literally how long I've known you. And I'm 43 now. So do the math, whatever that is. 43 minus 15. I have no idea.
On that? All right, 27, 37, something like that.
27. Yeah, whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Long time.
So this is my my really, really good friend, and my also fraternity brother, and Jarrod. So say hi, Jarrod.
Hi.
Now, okay. Just so everybody knows, when I ask people to come on the podcast, there's a form you fill out. I've kind of talked about it before. And every time somebody fills out the form, it registers the email and it puts it in an order. And Jarrod's would be third on that list. And so if you've been listening to the podcast, you will realize that there's been a lot of people since then. And then all of a sudden, this guy's just on here. So, I mean, we've been waiting all this time.
You've been waiting for what? I don't know, but I'm here. So happily here.
What made you? Were you hesitant to do this?
No, honestly, I was never hesitant to do it. I've never done a podcast. I don't
think I have.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've watched your shit. I love it.
But I mean, like, you think I did before I did one?
No, but it wasn't a hesitancy. And I mean, I filled out my paperwork from the very beginning and I was always supportive of it. It's just finding time and like a moment when I could actually get away and be focused. Cause that to me was the most important part. I didn't want to come here half-ass and not be able to like be completely in the whole thing.
Let me ask you. So how has the day been so far?
It's been fantastic.
Great. See?
Yeah, lots of memories, lots
I
of
mean,
things.
you got the extended stay. So
I did.
So if anybody has come on the podcast, and I don't know if I talked about this before, but the idea is that when you go into a lot of times it's like Spanish homes, like Asian homes and stuff like that, where it's like big families. It's multi-generational. Like they bring you in, you're their guest.
Right.
They feed you, they give you alcohol. Like you don't do anything. And I wanted that vibe when you come in. But with Jarrod, I mean, we've known each other. What was it? 27
25 plus years.
Yeah.
25 plus years for sure.
So Jarrod got to extended stay. So he came like real early and we started hanging out early and then got more booze early and then started eating early. And
True that.
So, so like this has been a little bit longer thing, but the experience is what I was hoping was kind of going on.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, it's our normal experience.
Yeah. It is pretty normal. Yeah.
Right. When Joey and I are together, I mean, that's just kind of how it is. It's story after story after story. And remember the time we did this and remember how we did that. And you're dumb and remember how dumb I was. And yeah, I enjoy all that.
Okay.
The nostalgia.
So really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. When for you did Joey get in the club?
Honestly, Las Vegas. The first moment I met Joey, honestly, it was like, boom. You know, like any type of friendship that you make with somebody or you meet people. And to me, it's like always been this way. Like I feel an instant connection with somebody. And I just know in that moment, like this is going to be somebody that I'm going to be friends with, or like I vibe with them really well. And I mean, it's funny because Joey talks about that all the time that, he's into positive vibes and he is. And that's totally true.
But not like the people that are into positive vibes that really aren't into positive vibes.
No,
like Joey's really into positive vibes, not the other people.
Not the cheesy girl on Instagram. It's like positive vibes. No, Joey was like from the start.
Positive vibes.
Yeah, seriously, positive vibes.
No, that's vibes, guys.
Yeah, that's not Joe. Joe from
that's not Joe at all.
No, from the jump, he was like, "This is me. This is who I am," and I was just like, "Boom! This guy is cool as shit. I love him." Las Vegas. First second I meet him, I mean, it was like done.
Do you know what happened right before that?
When he had to go through the garage and strip off all his clothes because he couldn't come into the pool.
Oh shit, I remember that now.
What happened?
Remember I couldn't wear my jersey.
So Joey, as soon as we got into the line,
they didn't let jerseys
all of us are in
in.
line to go to the pool. And all of us are dressed fairly normal. And I thought even Joe was dressed normal. He had a jersey on. And they gave
That might have been
him...
my bad. I probably should have told you that.
Oh, they gave him the riot act.
It was
I
me.
didn't know. I was
me
like,
and
Norm.
Norm.
Everybody's wearing.
Me and Norm wearing basketball jerseys.
Norm.
And Pat.
And they gave them the riot act. You would have thought they were thugs from Compton.
I know.
Honestly.
And I had all the tattoos.
I know you had all the tattoos. The actual trash.
It wasn't even a Laker jersey either.
It's true.
Jesus.
No, it wasn't even a Lakers jersey.
Those are trash.
I mean, that was a whole...
Sorry, Lakers fans.
That was a whole 14.5-minute vibe.
LeBron sucks.
Sitting to the side, getting able to get Joey, Pat, and Norm in.
Man, see, I
remember
remember
that.
that.
You don't remember because you were already at the pool.
I remember that, but I remember that, but I don't remember you being there for that.
Absolutely.
The first time I remember you was in the pool. Was dancing all up on those huge black girls in the pool.
Hey.
And I was like, I like
very nice lady.
I was like, no.
Good dancers.
They were wild and they were having a good time. And I looked at you and I was like, I like this guy. And then I remember looking at Renee. I told Renee this, I think when she was on. I looked at Renee and I was like, who is that? She goes, that's my husband. I go, that's your husband? And I was like, damn, okay. And she's like, that's just Jarrod. And I go, so that's what I like. Positive vibes. You are who you are. That's what it is.
As long as you've known me. Has that not always how I've been?
That's you, man.
Yeah, since I was 15 years old. I mean, I'm like down for like loving people and having a good time. And if you have energy, like I feel energy. I know that sounds crazy. And I know people are like, oh, you feel energy or, whatever. People think that's cheesy. I really do feel people's energy. Like I know if they're positive or they're like, oh, I can't be around this person. I've always been that way.
Yes.
Why do you say it like that?
Because being the empath you are, when you get that negative feeling for that person,
I'm out.
You go, or you're like, I gotta fix this person. I gotta help them.
True that.
And that's a great.
If I have a buy-in,
but I mean, sometimes the buy-in's like deep, and you don't even realize it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think every empath does that. It's really hard to navigate. It's really hard to set boundaries in
It
that
is.
way.
I agree.
But it's like your Greek tragedy downfall or whatever.
For real.
I mean,
There's no doubt. No, I agree with you 100%.
So you just have to kind of decide like what you're cool with and what you're not.
It's funny though, because as I've gotten older,
less shit matters.
Yes. And I've literally limited that. Like I will get into scenarios where I would have typically been like, oh my gosh, I got to help this person. Or I really need to I need to help this person. And I'm like, nope, I'm 43 years old. I cannot do this anymore. I cannot take on anymore right now at this moment. Even though I want to, like, I want to help people all the time. I have to stop myself.
Well, because you just can't.
Bandwidth.
Yeah.
It's bandwidth.
You only got so much.
Right.
And where are you going to put it?
Yep. I totally agree.
Oh man, this is going to sound super fucking horrible. But me and Aaron had this conversation. I'm going to go through it real quick, but I just kind of understand what I'm going to say. If you had to make like the hardest decision you ever had to make. So as an example, like say I went to HEB and I was getting life-saving medicine for my daughter and it was time sensitive.
Yeah.
And I'm running out of HEB and there's just like a baby in a baby carriage, like in the parking lot. I mean, and remember, this medicine for my daughter is time sensitive.
I ain't stopping for the baby.
I ain't stopping for the baby.
No.
And
no disrespect.
And no disrespect. And look, once I get home, I might call the police.
I would call the police once I got home.
But like, you have to make
a limit.
There has to be, because like you just can't, you can't do everything. So you have to. You have to make hard choices sometimes.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, but you also can't. You can't beat yourself up for the wrong choice when they were both wrong, when they're both bad.
Right.
It's like vote for president.
And I mean, honestly,
both suck.
If there was anybody that I knew as an empath, as my first human to be around, that I knew what an empath was, it was you. And so and I know that, it's one of those things where at a certain age, you're willing to really help people and really be part of their lives and whatever. And then you have to grow and become whoever you are. And it's like, I've got to let go of that piece. I have to edge out of, I can still be an empath and I can still help people, but I cannot do it as much. My bandwidth is gone. And so I feel like I've had to do that too. I mean,
I see it more this way. I control my bandwidth.
Right. I agree with that.
So I just handle as much as I can handle.
Right.
And I decide what it is. I decide.
Yeah.
And I get to decide. You absolutely get to decide. And some people are going to be like, hey, your bandwidth's not enough. And you're like, hey, you're not living my life.
Exactly.
Now, if you don't have a big bandwidth, I would suggest you should open it up a little bit.
Right.
If it's too wide, let it down. But just like try to find some level of like
balance. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Moderation.
No doubt.
Hey, what?
Oh gosh, where are we going now?
What was that thing? What do y'all tease me about? The having dyslexia? I mean, Alzheimer's. What do y'all always tease? Dementia. That's why I can remember.
I know.
Because you have dementia. That's why
I'm like, Scott, remember. What are you talking about? Huh? I'm like, you have dementia.
So, so because of that, probably, I was trying to think what you were like when I met you.
Oh
no, but so while I'm thinking about that, can you tell me what I was like when you met me?
Yeah. Do you want me to go on you first or me first?
Wait,
you go either way.
You're going to tell you?
I can tell you what I was like at that age, at 15 years old, and how I felt and who I was.
No, but I was wondering my interpretation against your interpretation, and maybe vice versa.
Of yourself?
Yeah. So so like I would tell you what I thought you were, and you tell me what you were. That makes sense?
Of myself.
Yes. And then you tell me what you thought I was, and I'll tell you what I was. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So me first or you first?
Whatever. We can go. Now that we've confused the out of people, we can do whatever you want.
I think we understand what you meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go first of your impression of me, because I need to think about my impression of you, because I don't know.
So to me, my first impression was like, oh my gosh, this cool ass guy is driving to go. No, seriously, this cool ass guy is driving to Goliad to hang out with one of my best girlfriends, which was Brooke. And Brooke is dating him, and Brooke talked all about him and who this guy was. And he was so cool. And he's from Edna, and he's tall, and he's, interesting, and blah, blah, blah. And I really valued Brooke's opinion, and I still do to this day. I mean, she's one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. And her and I have been friends since we were 12 to 13 years old. And I can remember her saying at lunch, he's coming today and we're going to go to lunch with him. And I was like, oh, this is exciting. And you pull up in your little 2-door red car. And I remember you had like music blasting that I didn't know. You did.
It's like some sort of like 16 candles.
It is.
It's like John. What's that director?
John Hughes.
It's like a John Hughes movie.
And you like, I can still remember it vividly because it was just so interesting. Because imagine living in a small town, which you grew up in Edna, and you know what it's like to like anybody from the outside is cool, and so Brooke had like hyped you up, and then it was like you rolled into our parking lot and you had a Chevrolet 2-door red
Cavalier,
mm-hmm. and you pull up and you're like, I can still remember what you were wearing. This is crazy. You had a chain on and you had a red and black shirt, and it was a V-neck, and the chain was like gigantic. And I remember thinking like, our chains, I'm 15. I was like, are chains cool right now? Like this is 1990.
They are now.
1995 or whatever, 1995-ish, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So this guy's cool. So chains are cool. Okay. So red and black V-neck varsity shirts are cool. Okay, cool. And I'm like going through my head, like, and giant baggy blue jeans, those are cool. And
they
sneakers
were cool at that time.
No, they were. And I'm talking shit right now, but those were all cool things.
You're spitting.
Those were cool when I was his age.
I remember you were like so quiet. And you were kind of like, just like get in the car. And Brooke and I got in the back seat. And I still remember what song was playing. I know this is horrible, but it was Offspring. It was like either Keep Them Separated or it was
for sure.
It was. I'm serious. I can still remember this. It's burned in my memory.
You gotta keep them separated.
Yeah. And I just remember, and you drove us to like the Texaco to go get lunch. And I was like,
we are the trashy fucking.
Oh, no. That's all we had. So it was like,
it's a hot date.
It was a hot date. And we were like, I just remember being in the car and being like, he is so fucking cool. Like, he's so interesting. And you hadn't even talked yet. Just because it was like you were like this person from the outside coming in. But then in the beginning you were, I mean, this was my impression of you for that. Then you started coming in on the weekends to like ranch house parties and like any parties we'd have, and we'd go to you to see you. And it was, you were always very like quiet and kind of pulled back, which was really cool because you gave that cool like vibe of like, I'm too cool for all y'all. And honestly, that was like a positive thing because I was like, oh, Scott is so cool. And then I was like, I want to be his friend so bad. He's so cool. He's so nice. And Brooke just adored you at that time. And then you and I began talking and becoming friends. And that was it from that point on.
So
that's how I remember you.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is how I remember me at that time.
Which will be totally different, I'm sure.
Yeah. But the weird part about it is, you know, like it's that's the first impression you got of me.
Yeah.
And it was kind of in a weird way like farther from the truth.
Okay.
And you could probably predict that now knowing me as well as you do, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I mean, that was a story you played in your head. That was a story you made up because what was really going on was I was like really like insecure and I was like, I don't know anybody and
of course
and that kind of stuff. And I think those are all very normal feelings for people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just, you know, I guess what I remember about you at that time was just like, I guess the best way to describe, and like, this hasn't changed really. It's like, you just want everybody to have a good time.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
You were just kind of like, hey, like, I want everybody to have a good time. And say, what's somebody doing here? Like, have you met, you know, those kinds of things, you know, that's where you kind of like thrived.
That's a pleaser in me. And that's not always good.
No.
Because you're always,
but then we're back to like, you know, you got to decide what your bandwidth is.
Right.
It's also better than the opposite of not giving a shit about what anybody's doing.
No, but I genuinely care.
Yeah, and no,
it's
I know
not a fake thing.
That's what I'm saying. Is like there's plenty of people.
That's what's so gut wrenching about it.
I know
you actually do give a shit.
I really do. I really do. Like I love people, and I love like my friends. I like love my friends. I love my wife. I love my kids. Like. And it's so hard when you're an empath because you're just like, you feel everything. You're just like raw. And people that aren't empathic or that don't understand that are just like, what's wrong with that guy? Like, or girl or whoever, you know?
I think also as you get older, you find a balance between being empathic and just like not giving a shit about those certain people.
Oh, absolutely.
And just letting certain stuff go.
For sure.
Like just certain people go, letting certain ideas go.
Yeah.
I wanted this kind of relationship with this PIP person, and they're just not, it's not there. So it's like, it doesn't matter. Instead of like chasing, like you chase all of them. Like, you know.
Yeah. It's like when you're in high school.
Button.
Everybody in high school wants to have everybody wants to be. I want everyone to be my friend. Be everyone's friend. I want to know everybody. The more people you know, the better. And then every decade, I feel like you realize that
for sure
half the people you know don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, and every year you know less and less and less people.
I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast.
Oh God.
I started training this gentleman. He will remain nameless because he would not want me to tell him his name. I know, but he definitely likes John Wick movies. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
But he's the most like just nice, like kind, sweet person. Like we do lunch together once in a while. I think he's got to be like 80. I'll call you 85 maybe or something like that. Right. He's just so cool to hang out with. And one of my other clients that was around his age had moved downtown. He lived downtown and then moved downtown around the same time. So I thought that maybe they could like, you know, like click, hang out. Right. So I went to him and I just kind of started training. We just started kind of working together. So in a handful of months. And I said, hey, this my other client moved downtown. I thought maybe I could meet for lunch or stuff. And he looked at me with a straight face. He goes, I don't need any new friends.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a real old man thing, dude.
Yeah, but like when you talk about like decade, he was in the decade, he was like, I'm done.
I'm
like,
done.
He goes like, I'm losing them. You know, they're dying left and right. I don't need to pick new people to die,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's like Tom Segura, the stand-up comedian. He's got a bit about that. But he goes, you get to a certain age where you're just like, I don't want to meet anybody. They're like, hey, Grandpa, I want you to meet Steve. Fuck Steve.
Yeah,
I know everybody I need to know. You know, like it's just
your book is full.
Completely true.
It's done.
Here's what
you invest in learning about somebody new at 85 years old. Like,
I'm done.
Come on.
So everybody in this room knows Tom.
Yeah.
Right.
Love Tom.
And so Tom is, and Tom really is kind of like my mentor. And we have a lot. I was just talking to him this week about how, you know, like I see him almost every single day. Right. And we work out together almost every single day.
Yeah.
And we walk for about 20 minutes before, and we just talk about the day, the world, what's going on, stories, things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when, you know, because it will come to an end at some point.
Sure.
You know, something happens to one of us or whatever. I was like, man, this is going to be like a big part of my life. I really appreciate all these like conversations and stuff, you know, in the similar way that I appreciate like our relationship, these things. I don't know. Anyways, I went on a tangent.
I mean,
no, I get what you're saying.
Sweet.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody pull me back on course.
I appreciate you.
Pulled back on course. I appreciate you. Now.
Why don't you pull the thing out the helmet?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, well, I mean, don't threaten me with a good time.
For
so
real.
We're gonna pull the ones in the back there. The ones in the front are like.
Do I get to pull?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's your question.
You can move the microphone. You don't have to like. Yeah.
So I just
pick one, and we'll just see what
in the little bowl inside.
Yeah, this is Aaron's space.
And I asked the question.
Oddity questions. Yeah, everybody's gonna answer it unless Joe doesn't want to.
It's a good question, actually.
Okay.
When you can't sleep at night, what keeps you awake? Mine is work. Almost always, 90% of the time, if I'm awake at night, it's about work scenarios, and I'm like working through. If I do this, and if we make this happen, then we can make that happen. But that's me personally.
So why do you think you do that?
Because it's top of mind. I mean, I work from home, so it's like it's hard to separate almost when you work from home. I mean, I've worked from home for 11 years.
A lot of people are now working from home.
Right. And I've done it for 11 years. So I was pre-COVID already working from home. But I think.
Was there any change?
For me?
Yeah.
With COVID?
Yeah.
None. Zero. Not for me.
You just rolled
right through it because I was already at home. And I work out in the field in medical, but not really much change for me other than my clients. You couldn't see physicians in hospitals because with COVID, it's just not a possibility.
Yeah. Hey, so really quickly, because we never did this.
Yeah.
Will you just like, shout out like your Instagram, and then if you want to just kind of say what you do for a living?
Sure. So I'm at turns up underscore Turley.
If you ever change that name, I will be pissed.
That's me. I mean, that is my vibe.
I mean,
that is my vibe.
That is your vibe only.
That's my vibe only.
Only your vibe.
It's right. It's true. I work for Quest Diagnostics, and I've been with my company for 11 years. I absolutely love what I do because it's helping people. Mm-hmm. I'm in laboratory sales, and I love it.
But when we reverse your life, at one point you were like an event planner, right? Like, what did you do?
Actually that was even sales, and including not so much event planning, but like I was a front of the house manager. I was in country club industry. So I did the country club industry, but in sales for let's see, 4, 5, 6 or 7 years.
How was that?
I really like that because it's like a lot of one-on-one human interaction stuff. At that age, it was perfect because I was in my late 20s and into my 30s. But there was a point where I was like, I want to be home every weekend with my kids and my wife, and I want to like go somewhere on holidays. And you can't do that when you work in the country club industry because you're working every Mother's Day, every Father's Day, every Christmas, every New Year's. And what life wasn't for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you could quit your job right now and do anything, what would you do?
Oh, if I could quit right now,
like if you could do anything you want right now, and
I would do philanthropy. I'm serious.
We'll say you still get to make a decent salary. Like you get to do what you love, and you make a good enough money to support your family.
I would literally like what I do already on the side, which is help immigrants and like people who don't like know America, and like help educate people.
Do you want to shout that out real quick? Do you want to shout out some of the stuff that people could go to, or what they use?
It's not so much they can go to. Just remember, there's people that are, the Afghan community, which I've really learned a lot about in the last really 2 months, and their plight in America. I mean, there's 73,000 as of right now, 73,000 Afghanistan refugees that have come to America, that are asylum seekers or refugees. That imagine being dropped into America, and you've been in Afghanistan your whole life, and you have no idea how to navigate anything. And these are people who are absolutely amazing. They are just the kindest, most loving people I have ever met in my entire life. And you just want to help them. You want to make sure that they're okay. I mean, that's kind of how it's been.
Look, I've never been to Afghanistan, but I've been to America. And I got to think, if I was in Afghanistan, you drop me in America.
They love it.
I would do anything you wanted me to do.
Oh, they love it.
I'd be like, how do I stay here?
No doubt.
Right.
No doubt whatsoever.
But that's just, they have an appreciation.
Absolutely.
You have an appreciation for how lucky you are here.
100%.
You're in the best, worst place.
Yes. They constantly talk about, yes, we love our country, and yes, Afghanistan was an amazing place, and we grew up there, and it's our home country, but America is just amazing, and you guys help us. And it's just what America is, which is so they just really fulfill you in that sense of like your American pride about America and who we are as Americans. It's like, yeah, this is what you need in your life. Like, you need to help people like that really love us so much and love what they've been able to accomplish here and what they've been given. So yeah, I mean, that's not really a plug. It's just, man, if you can go out in your community and help, I'm not even just saying Afghan people, whoever, that's the community I've been connected with most recently. And they just, I just want to help them be American. They want to be American. So I'm here for it.
Who wouldn't want to be American?
For real. Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, did we talk about who you thought you were at 15 when we met?
Oh, when we met at 15?
Yeah, like remember we did the 3, but we didn't finish up. We had to finish up with you saying who you thought, because I told you what I thought of you, but you didn't say who you were.
I mean, at 15, I was a person who was completely beat down by bullying. And
from who?
Well, I was different. I was never, I wasn't a jock in a small town. Those things weren't me. And so when you sit on the periphery of that and you're in a small community like I was, I mean, you're talking about a high school with 325 students.
It's tough, bro.
It is tough.
Well, I mean, have you seen me?
I know you did the same thing.
Yeah.
You're Edna, you know this life.
Yeah. So here's what was, I want to stay on this subject, but just like a small input.
Yeah.
That cool kid you saw that pulled up to the school and stuff
Was not that cool kid internally.
Well, not only that, but like at my school, I was getting that flack. I was getting flack for that. Like that being that person in high school was a negative.
Right.
And then I pulled to your school and it's a positive.
Right. Because you were external and it was interesting and you were something outside of.
Yeah.
Whereas just like at the reverse for me at my school, it was, high school was hard. It just was a very difficult time because when you're beat down constantly by everyone around you and you're just like, what am I even? If I, and it's that thing where you're a microcosm, right? So you believe that your life is this world, that little small town world. You can't think out of that sometimes and realize that there's this whole big world outside of that you're going to eventually be part of. At that time, when your whole family literally stepped off a boat from Ireland and they've been in the same town since the 1860s, 1850s, you think your whole world is that world. And it isn't until you get out of that and you move to Victoria and then you move to Austin and then you move to wherever that you realize, oh my gosh, all those people were worthless. I really don't give a damn.
It's a very small part
Correct.
Of the whole giant picture.
But when you're in it,
it feels huge.
It's painful.
Yeah.
And so I can understand why we have so many children today and kids today who are in those situations where I want to kill myself. I mean, that thought, oh my gosh, how many times did I want to kill myself at a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 20-year-old? I mean, there were all these moments where I can look back and I mean, I've been in therapy consistently since 2019. I had been in therapy before that kind of off and on, but then therapy consistently since 2019 to help me understand, you're not that person. You are a good human and you are someone to be loved. I mean, it's unbelievable that you can reach your 30s or 40s and still feel those emotions. So it's interesting to be at the point I'm at right now at 43 and look back and go, okay, I survived it, but I still sometimes feel like that 15-year-old kid that's completely beat down. And I don't doubt that there's many people who feel that way. I don't doubt that.
Oh yeah.
All around me.
Look, that's why I lean into your second son so hard.
Right. Because he reminds me so much of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he absolutely does. My oldest, he is fantastic. He is a sports star and he is, he's a more mix of you and your wife. Absolutely. He's a great,
more even mix.
Absolutely. He's an even mix of Renee and I. He's very popular. He loves sports. He doesn't get bullied. He's in the in crowd. I mean, he works. He does all the right things. And then my second son, who we absolutely adore.
He's the guy we hated in high school.
No, he's the guy. He reminds me so much of myself. Guy,
like forget all the chicks and stuff. I mean, it's just I had to go to other towns.
I just think there's a sensitivity, and maybe I'm a parent, and maybe it's wrong or whatever, but I do have a sensitivity for Reed because I know what he's going through. Because it's hard when you look at your son and you go, "Oh my God, that's me." At that age. Like I remember having those emotions that he has. And I remember feeling the feelings that he has because it was so, I was an only child. So I didn't have brothers to lean on. I didn't have sisters to lean on. I had cousins and they all grew up around me, but it was almost like an insular life for me. I mean, I was by myself. It was me by myself trying to figure all these feelings out. It's hard.
It's a very, I don't know what's the best experience to be an only child, to have a brother and sister, to have multiple siblings, have one sibling, the distance sometimes matters a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how far me and my brother are apart, the distance of that, me and Joe talked about kind of stuff. I don't know. Like I think actually we talked about this with Renee, kind of, you got to find what works for each one of them.
It's different for every single one of them.
And make that needs to be the fairness of it.
Absolutely.
What works for you the best is what makes it fair, not this much and this much. It doesn't, that's not the way balance. It's not, because it's an impossible task, especially when you have more than one kid.
And we have 3 sons who are all 3 extremely different personalities, raised all exactly the same way.
Right.
So that's it's so strange because you look at your kids and you're like, oh my gosh, how can y'all be so different? We raised you all exactly the same, but they are very different. So you have to treat them differently, and sometimes it's been interesting to watch this as an only child because I didn't have siblings. So to watch them fight and do their whole thing, which is sometimes annoying to me because I'm like, God, I wanted a brother so bad when I was growing up, and to see them grow and to see them kind of do their own thing, but they're all not treated differently. I don't want to say that, but there is a difference between all three boys, and how we interact and how we react with all three boys is different.
And that's appropriate. I
think so too. But that's a learning experience as a parent. I mean, I look at Jackson as our oldest and raising him in the beginning. God, we made so many mistakes. It's like, but then by the time you have Boo Boo Sawyer, who's our youngest, we're like juggle knives, It's like, okay, cool. You're cool. Like,
at least they're not sharp.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
At least they're not chainsaws.
Yeah, true that.
What keeps you up at night, Scott?
What keeps me up at night?
Oh yeah, that's your question. You have to answer that now. How did it go from work to my kids? Wow, that went far off, but okay.
Your baby now?
I literally hear your baby screaming in the other room.
Yeah. She does that a lot. What keeps me up at night? This is gonna sound. I don't know that to be here in the studio and to kind of do this whole thing, to be here.
This
like
makes you up at night, keeps you up at night.
No. Listen. How this all like kind of came about is just me kind of just finding this, I don't know, feeling freedom. I feel like I feel like I just found this balance in life, and that's how we got to here. And the fact that like people that I care about can't find inner peace, and I can feel that because I'm an empath. Those are things that make me really kind of just upset, because like I know what this feels like, and I know what it feels like on the other side. I know what to feel tortured by those feelings and stuff. And so, and sometimes I can be really aggressive about it with people that are empaths and not remember like, hey, remember like, you're an empath too. Don't be so aggressive about it. But like, it makes me sad that a lot of people can't feel better. Like, cause you can feel better. I never thought that I would feel this good.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would be here. I never thought I'd be doing this. I never thought, like, I really genuinely believe that I would not have been a good father 5 years ago. We can go into that, but I'm telling you from the inside of what I feel on the inside. Yeah,
I get it. It's how it's so hard because of how, I'm not talking about you specifically, but how any human, male, female, whatever, internalizes themselves, right? And the version that we see is so different than the version that's created in your brain about yourself. And I think it's a good question. And you asked it, what did you think of yourself? What did you think of me at 15 years old? And it's like, I always saw you as a father. Always saw you as a father.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Yes. Because of your personality. And it's just, I think it's interesting as a human and as someone who has struggled internally with, like about yourself, like, oh, I could never do that. And you creating a podcast is the logical next step for me. So for me, it's not far-fetched. That's what's interesting, because when you think about yourself, you think one thing, but when others think about you, we see you in such a higher place, I think. And I'm not just talking about you personally. I am gearing this towards you, but I think a lot of humans, we all think like that. Like, well, those of us that aren't narcissistic, at least, believe that like, oh, I'm not so much worthy of that, but like, I don't know if I could ever do that, or that's not something I would ever, aspire to be. But what I'm telling you is I always saw those things in you.
I hear what you're saying. I think the one thing that changed was what my intent with things are.
with children or with in general your life?
My life, what my intention is.
So what is your intention?
So it's the same. It looks the same. But who I was before I kind of just made this shift was more of a kind of a covert narcissist. Does that make sense?
Okay.
In the sense of like, you're a victim. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's how you felt about yourself, and that's how you felt like others perceived you. But
I think others kind of perceived that, but I was, I was just kind of so, I don't know. I think that they, I think I was playing a victim and I didn't realize I was doing it. And that wasn't my intention. I just wanted people to like me and like, but I would just be really upset about the easiest things. I was very empathic around there. Right. And now like the person that liked to do all those, I did like to do all those things. I did like to do all those things, but I was trying to fill myself with them.
Yeah, I get that.
I was trying to so I do these things that fills me up.
Right.
So, but it's like in this stupid way, it's like it's going the other direction now. Like I'm feeling the it up.
Right.
And that feels different to me inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I get it.
Very Matthew McConaughey of me.
No, I get it.
Green light.
Green light. Green light.
What's green light mean?
It's his book.
His
It's called
book.
Green Lights.
Yeah. Green lights.
That's right. Yeah. I did see that on something.
Bumper stick.
That's a
okay. I'm going to say something.
That's a Chad joke.
I'm going to say something that's going to like probably irk a lot of your people and probably the two of you in this room.
What?
About Matthew McConaughey.
What about?
You don't like him?
I can't stand Matthew McConaughey. I think he is the most annoying fucking human being in the world.
Oh no.
All right. I cannot stand it. I'm sorry. No, stop. Hold on. Let me finish my tirade about how much I cannot stand.
Wait, just hang on 1 second. We're going to take a break.
Hey everybody, you can find this and a lot of other cool swag on AMGP Store.
All right, we're back from our bathroom booze break. We're gonna let you hang in with why Jarrod hates Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, the thing isn't that you don't like him. I can understand why somebody wouldn't like him.
Hey, it's not that you don't like him.
No. It's not that you don't like him. It's that you don't like him, which is weird to me.
You think I would like him?
Yeah.
I cannot stand him.
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Well, I will tell you this. There are some occasions he has done some films where I'm like, that's not Matthew McConaughey being fucking Matthew McConaughey,
Like
and
Dallas
I like
Buyers
it.
Club?
Correct.
No.
Dallas Buyers Club is a prime example. That is not Matthew McConaughey. That is a fantastic actor playing a role and doing it well and creating a story that's fantastic.
So you don't like his Matthew McConaughey or his
his boom, boom. Oh my god. Like,
dude, that was a great scene.
That's fine for you. I'm in sales, and that is the most cheesiest shit I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's supposed to be a satire. That's the whole point.
I know, but it's just so him, and it's so annoying. I just and his whole vibe. Sorry, vibing it out here, but his whole vibe in the movie's just cringe. I cannot handle it.
So it's not him as a person?
No, I don't.
You understand it was supposed to be cringeworthy.
I know, but like
that was the intent.
To me, he plays the same stupid character over and over and over. And you know who else plays that stupid character over and over? You ready to be pissed off the rest of your podcast world?
Okay. Hang on. Do you want to guess, Joe?
No.
I want to make a guess. Is it like, are we Matthew McConaughey, Wheelhouse, kind of similar guy? Like similar, or is it like The Rock?
No. Will Ferrell.
You don't like Will Ferrell?
Absolutely not. Cannot stand him. So stupid and so dumb, and he plays the same dumb character every single movie he's in.
Joe?
And you know what's funny? Everybody loves him. That's why I can't speak out about this to anybody, except on Scott's podcast to everybody in the world.
All 28 people that are listening.
Hey, the 28 people, guess what? 27 of them love Will Ferrell, I assure you. Me, I'm the one who does not. He plays the same dumb-ass character in every movie. Him and what's his little sidekick?
Kevin Hart?
Talladega Nights, they're dumb
John
people.
C. Reilly?
Oh, my God.
But
that guy, too.
John C. Reilly does like actual,
John
like
C. Reilly's
actual
hell of
Boogie
an
Nights.
actor.
Boogie Nights, he was fantastic. If he's not with...
Gangs of New York?
Exactly. Guess who he wasn't with?
What about Dewey Cox? Wasn't with him there.
Stupid.
Wasn't with him there.
That movie's stupid. But I'm letting
It's
you know, anytime he's
supposed
with
to be stupid.
anytime he's with Will Ferrell, it's dumb with dumb.
Hey, what? So what
You don't
kind
like
of what
Step
kind of
Brothers?
comedy? What kind of
Step Brothers. Oh my! I'm getting
You
an
don't
optic
like
migraine right now just thinking about how dumb that fucking movie
Okay,
is.
so what? Like when you watch a comedy, what kind of
Stand it.
what's your favorite comedy movie of all time?
Coming to America,
Okay, so why
Trading Spaces,
why do
Trading
you-
Places.
why do you like
you
those?
like Eddie Murphy.
Because Eddie Murphy is a fucking king. That guy will make. I have no legs. I have no
Well,
legs.
but
Here I am, like 9 years old, watching that show, and I'm like, oh my god, he has legs. He just had them hidden. It was so funny. Still to this day, I could show that to.
Well, that's how
Reed
people.
Jackson-
That's how Joe feels about Will Ferrell.
That's not how I feel about Will Ferrell.
Oh, there. See, okay.
But I mean, who's your favorite comedian? Like, who's your guy? Like, who's
Like
your
in
Eddie Murphy?
movies and shit. Like
Yeah.
growing up, it was Jim Carrey,
Yeah.
Oh,
But
no,
that was-
I will.
I mean-
see, and Jim Carrey doesn't annoy me.
which is ridiculous because he's played some of the most ridiculously idiotic
has.
characters of all time.
He has, but he's. I don't know. There's an actor quality to him that I love. Whereas with Will Ferrell, I think it's so cheesy and it's so overacted.
Have
It's
you
like,
seen any of
ugh.
the movies that he's actually acted in?
Who?
Will Ferrell.
Yes, I've seen tons of
No,
them.
no, not
Not
the cheesy,
comedy
shitty ones. I'm talking
bullshit.
like the ones that he really acts in.
Yes, I've seen them, and all I can think of the whole time is him running down the street when he's naked and doing that stupid shit in that college movie.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
Shoot me in the fucking face.
No, I wasn't in a fraternity, so maybe I don't. Maybe it's because
No,
of
it has nothing to do with fraternity. It just tells you, oh, honey. Oh, my God. It makes me cringe. Cringe.
It is so surprising to me.
I know. I can't see it.
Again, not because you don't like him. I get that there's people that don't like these people, but that
That
your
I wouldn't like
personality
him.
doesn't like
Yeah,
him.
no,
Like
can't stand
the person that I know as you is
I
like
know.
you love everyone. So
Oh,
they're
not
not
that
like
guy.
these two
No.
people who are beloved by like millions
I know.
of people.
I can't handle them.
Like it's so strange to me.
I know it's weird. I know. That's why I like prefaced it with like, I'm going to get beat up about this because anytime I bring it up to anybody, especially my family, my cousins, they all spin the jokes all the time on it. We have a chat thread
Right.
that we all are on all the time and like send each other jokes. And they're always doing stupid Jim Carrey shit. And I'm always like, not Jim Carrey shit. I like Jim Carrey. Will Ferrell stuff. And I'm just like, oh,
How do you
God.
feel about Ryan Reynolds?
I like Ryan Reynolds.
He's the same guy in every movie he makes.
See, and I don't see.
Every fucking movie.
But I'm also not a huge fan of his. I'm not like.
I think he's amazing, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying like there's a definite comparison between him and like a Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Joey, no.
There is a comparison. They're both funny. They're both charming. They're both good-looking guys. Like there's a definite comparison as far as like the level of
Podcasters.
movies that they're in as well.
Joe Andrade is wrong. Just letting everybody know.
All right, we're back from ridiculousness,
Yeah.
and we've played musical chairs, and so usually like how I don't know, like you can see how casual I got my Whataburger. slides.
Whataburger.
Yeah.
Whataburger sponsor us. Just
Yeah,
saying.
and no shit. Like yeah, for
Hashtag
real.
Whataburger.
Hashtag Whataburger sponsor us.
Been eating you since I was like 2.
Grew up with that shit.
Yes. That's all I had.
Hey, weekend coffee. That's what they have. That weekend coffee.
Weekend coffee. And literally in Goliad, we had a Dairy Queen and a Whataburger.
Mhm.
And the Whataburger was like the high end spot. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Can't you say
Whataburger.
it?
They
Can you
don't-
see
they
it
don't
though?
listen to them.
Can
Don't
you
listen
not
to them.
see
It's not Whataburger. It's Whataburger.
what
Hey,
a
don't listen to them.
burger
Don't
is
listen
what
to
it
them. They don't know.
is?
They don't know.
Y'all don't even know.
They don't know. They don't
Jared,
know.
we can see you ate it quite a bit, so don't worry about
Easy.
it.
Hey, what'd you learn from Layne?
Lane's an asshole.
okay.
That's what I learned about.
So anyway,
His moderation.
so-
He's an
This is
asshole.
why I'm off
He has
camera,
no
you're on.
moderation, He's an asshole.
So usually I like to wrap it up. It's like talk about kind of how my guests kind of moderate their life. But since there were so many people in tonight and Jarrod's kind of our main guest, I thought he might speak to like kind of some of the things that like we've maybe learned as a group from individuals or, you know, I would like to think like as a collective group, we're always trying to kind of lift each other up and make each other better.
Yeah,
you know
no-
what I mean? And so like I thought maybe, you know, you could speak to kind of just maybe even our group. You know what I mean?
No doubt. I mean, you and I have known each other since I was 15 years old. I mean, for me, and I know you may not think this, but like from the very beginning, you were always someone in my life that was very calming influence. And it's interesting because at that time when I was younger, it was like I would always look to you and be like, okay, what does Scott think? Or what Scott was my calming influence. I mean, that was my thing. So I always appreciated that about you because you were able to offer that. So for me, that's what I think of when I think of you. That moderation. I know you may not think of yourself that way now, but at that time and for many years, you were that calming influence for me.
What about Joe over here? Because you said you knew Joe. You knew how Joe influenced you, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting because Joey, who we've now known each other for 6 years, 6-ish, 7 years, and we instantly connected day one, first time we ever met. He very much is that personality of my wife. He is that calming opposite of my personality, which I appreciate. I love that. I need that yin and yang in my marriage. I need that yin and yang in my friendships, especially my male friendships. And I appreciate that in him. I mean, he's always from the day one, and very quickly after we met and we became spirit animals as a joke, ha ha ha, lions. We call each other our spirit animals, and the lion is our actual symbol for each other. And it was a joke in the beginning, but it's like serious now. Like, yeah, we're each other's spirit animal. I mean, that's our thing.
Hey, what would I have to do? How much if I paid for y'all to get that lion emoji tattooed, would you do it?
I'd do it. Yeah.
Would you do it, Joe?
Tattoos don't bother me.
Joe doesn't have a tattoo.
Oh shit. I don't. Tattoos don't bother. I mean, I have 4, so I don't care. Tattoos don't bother me. I would totally get the lion tattoo on my ass. My ass. Or no, well, I don't know. I don't care wherever.
Joe,
on my calf.
His ass. That's okay.
I'll get on my calf. I'll get on my ass. I don't care.
Anyways, Joe, your spirit animal line.
He's my spirit animal, and he has always been a calming influence. And he may not think that, but he has always been a steady Eddie calming influence in my life for the past 6 years, which I appreciate wholeheartedly. I mean, he's just that guy, and he's always there. If I need him, he's there. If I call him, he's there. If I text him, he's there. It's the same way with you. Like, when there's a need, you're available. And that to me is very, very important, especially in a male relationship, especially when you're talking about guys that are friends together. It's hard to find that type of friendship where I can call him and say, I don't feel right now, or like, this doesn't feel good to me, or can I talk to you about this? And I appreciate that Joey and you both do that.
You remember when you were talking about being bummed out because you were an only child?
Yeah.
Well, here's the cool part about what happened to you is you got to pick like your brothers. You got to pick.
True dad.
You got to pick those people. Like a lot of people get assigned their relatives, and you don't always not always get along, or they're not those kind of people. You know what I mean? So you got to choose the people that got to be kind of your brothers of sort.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And Layne, I will tell you.
No, I'm sitting over here sipping my old fashioned, looking at you.
No,
I'm not a brother.
Oh,
now I'm the opposite man out. Now that's rude.
This is so. Here's Layne's MO. Layne's MO is like, I'm gonna put up a front and be like, no, don't do this to me. But Layne is a good human, and he is always.
Don't tell people that. That's rude.
He is, and see, this is his deflection. This is all part of it right here.
Here's the thing: you don't need to tell people I'm a good human because that's
right. He doesn't want people to know. He doesn't want people to know, and that's fine. I'll
burn your house down in a heartbeat.
See, this is all deflection, but Layne is a good human. He loves my family.
Scott, I love this house. It was cute while I was here, but when I leave,
it's burned.
Good luck.
He loves my family. He is always there as a support system for my children, for my wife, and myself. I can't thank him enough. From a moderation standpoint, you would meet Layne and you think, that guy's not moderated at all. He's wild and fun and exciting, and he's always going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But when you're with Layne in your core and you're really good friends with Layne, and you get to hang out with him on Layne time, just us with Layne.
You find out I need a nap at least 3 times a day.
He needs 5 or 6 naps, but he is a wonderful human to be around because he is actually a centering influence. And you wouldn't think that meeting him because he is Layne Box and he is the greatest gay ever. But
oh my God.
Honestly, and I think he gets uncomfortable when he talks about it.
But I think, you know what I think that is like I've experienced that with Layne before. And I think that's when he's investing into you. That's when he's letting you know he's investing into you.
Absolutely.
And I think that speaks a lot to probably because of growing up in a small town and being gay and all that. It was hard to invest in people because the probably majority of people were pieces of shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you had to really pick the people, like you had to be really good.
When he loves, he loves.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
the thing about being gay is that you get to choose your family. Like,
Right.
Because most of your family, and I found this out coming out, like they leave you. So like you get to choose the family that you have around you. So yeah.
And when you love, you love. Like, I know. Like, if Layne loves you, it's for real. Like, he's all in. It's invested. I'm there for you. I'm coming for your birthday. I'm coming for your kids' birthdays. I'm coming for whatever it is that's important to you because I love you. If he's not invested, he's out. I mean, he just doesn't have time for that. I mean, he's just like, you're in, we're in together. We're in this life. I mean, man, this life, we're on this rock speeding through the fucking universe at 70,000 miles an hour. And this life is over so quick. And my saying has always been from day one, because I've gone through so much shit in my life. It's like this, we are not, you have a it's no dress rehearsal. It's over. You get one chance at this deal. That's it. So you want to bring in who is the best to be around you and your family, period, end of story. Everything else is trash. Dump it all to the side. Like I just don't have time for it anymore. There was a time in my 20s and 30s when I would have I welcomed everybody and, tried to make friends with everybody. Not anymore. From my late 30s on, nope, done. I want who is going to be the core with me to the end, and that's not here. They're here for us. They're here for me. They're here for my whole family, and they're here to be positive influences, period.
let me ask you this. Do you recognize the fact that people are going to move in and out of your life?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And in recognizing that, does that, I don't want to say make it easier, but instead of fighting it,
Totally fine with it.
you've recognized the fact that is going to happen, and
Absolutely.
so you don't get stuck in those moments,
Do
right?
not get stuck.
Because I think a lot of people can get stuck because once you when you're building your core in your 20s and 30s, when there is somebody that's probably going to shift out of that, and some people
For sure.
they get shook and they don't ever kind of recover. And then a lot of people figure out, well, I kind of recover. And then you
Right.
figure out this will happen multiple times. And then you kind of get to this point where you're at where hey, the people that fuck with me are the people that I'm going to hang with. And the people that don't, then I just don't.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. I mean, but yeah, I agree. When you're younger, you want to envelop everybody, and you just kind of figure once you're older,
We're
you're
kind of processing
Yeah.
what your bullshit meter is
yeah,
of sorts.
yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not really.
I
Not
mean,
that I can think of.
so what did you expect out of tonight? What did you expect out of the whole the whole experience?
Conversation, and that's exactly what I got, which I love. I got to literally tonight was so magical for me because here I am with three of my best friends, literally three of my best friends in the entire world, and we're getting to hang out, talk, and drink whiskey and wine. This is magical to me. So regardless of whatever happens with the podcast, I'm totally supportive, but this has been magical to me. I love it.
Well, and I think that just trying to have conversations can be, when Renee came on her podcast, she told this story, and we can kind of wrap it up with this, but I thought this was really interesting. She told this story about how, she came from a big Italian family.
Yeah.
And they'd have these big Italian dinners.
Yes.
And then the kids had to sit at the table and they couldn't get up.
Yes.
While the adults talked. They weren't even playing games. They're just talking.
Right.
And they just had to sit there.
Yes.
And they just were taking all of that
Yeah.
in, all the conversations,
Yeah.
all the things. And I think it's a really lost kind of art. And so it's really cool to bring people in, especially I told Joe kind of before we started. It's just when he comes in, it's just another dynamic of the conversation.
Yeah.
That's really another opinion, and then have Layne come in, it's another opinion.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, it makes you really kind of, think about things.
Yeah.
Talk.
I'm thinking about your clothes, but there's that. I mean, all three of you. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Shocker.
You can love us, Layne.
I love you all, but I don't like your outfits. But it's good.
Well, I guess it's a good thing you don't have to wear them.
Correct.
So you had a good time?
Whataburger.
Yes. Thank you. This
Yeah.
is awesome.
All right.
I love
Every
it.
time we like to give hugs. Anybody else want to come in here and get a hug?
Yeah.
Come with big old group hug. Yeah.
I don't even like y'all.
I know you don't. That's okay. That's why you got to come
You don't like us, but you love us.
Oh.
Hey everybody, you can't drink weekend coffee without a weekend coffee hoodie. You can find it on amgpstore.com.